Hello and welcome back
to the In Your Mind podcast. We should do an intro like that where we're both talking.
Okay, so I'll do that.
No, we've already done it.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That was good.
Anyway, welcome back.
Welcome back. Hope you've had a good week. Getting into the new year. Getting stuck into it.
We're a month in already. It's the 31st of January, 2024. The day we're recording this. So, when's this coming out? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
1st of Feb, guys. Holy shit.
So how's your week been?
I've been very tired. I'm getting quite sore. I'm near the end of phase 1. I think I've got 7 or 8 days left.
And then it's a mandatory break, right? After phase 1?
30 days, yeah.
That's good. Thank God.
For you or for me?
Just thank God for you. Oh, jeez. It's just... Your body needs a bit of a rest.
Maybe.
I think so. Needs to heal.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm actually really excited for getting back into studying and learning this year. I've got some really cool subjects. Yeah, and I'm really excited. I feel like this year's good because we get into a bit more of the detail and a bit more of like, just a bit more interesting because all the basic stuff has sort of been covered and now we can actually get to like the deep, interesting specifics that you think you're going to study when you sign up for psychology.
Yeah.
Because I think the first year in particular, it's just so broad. And then second year gets a bit more, yeah, you get into it. But then, so I'm just like really excited to see what stuff I learn this year and this semester.
Wait, is this your third year?
Yeah. I know.
Fuck.
I know.
That is insane, bro. I feel so old now. I'm going to be 25 this year. Anyway, that's crazy.
That's crazy. I'm going to be 23.
I'm going to be 25 and still broke.
25 isn't bad. 25, you're still like... 27 is we're getting old.
Oh, okay. So that's my deadline.
Yeah. 27,
I've got 24 months. Get your shit together.
Basically, 27 is like the time that I want to be fully...
Having kids.
Immersed. No. Oh, no.
For those who aren't watching
golly.
this on YouTube, her face.
I've got a while to come before all that.
Pause.
I'm enjoying... Huh?
What?
Pause.
Anyway. What were you saying?
Just that got a while to come. Got a lot of plans to achieve before that maturation level.
What plans have you got? Because I don't think we've actually talked about that before.
Well, I want to be a psychologist, be a registered psychologist, have that ticked off. I want to have my own business.
As a psychologist?
So my own practice.
Why do you want a business rather than working at someone else's clinic?
Well, I think I'll start off working at someone else's clinic. Like you've got to learn somehow. And I think it's a bit naive to jump straight into well, you actually do need to have supervisors and stuff for the first couple of years of practice. But eventually having my own practice just because of freedom. I want to set my own hours. I want to not be tied down to any location. I want to choose wherever I want to live in the world.
So you're going to have remote appointments?
Well, I can. I want to have the option to. I don't want to be tied down by by working for somebody else.
It's tough, isn't it? Because you work for yourself and you work forever.
Yeah.
You choose your own hours, but that just means you choose every hour.
I don't know. I think in the beginning, yes. But once I have kids and things, it'll be shaped a bit around them, what they want to do, the financial goals and what I want to achieve. And then just basically just freedom, being able to be to pay everything and have what I need and all of that. And I don't need to, like, working.
You're
so
not
I
trying to
don't-
make $1 billion psychology
No.
practice.
No, I'm just trying to like have a good amount of clients where I can really like think about them and investigate when they're away and like really delve into the issues that I think are presenting, and like I just want to be really good with the clients that I have.
Yeah.
I don't need like, a mass amount of clients, but
How many clients do you need if you had your own clinic? How many clients do you need to earn a living?
I don't know. It's not something that I've thought about.
I guess it depends. Like later in your career, you could charge more, so you'd only need like 3 potentially. Depends on your business plan.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Who is your ideal type of client? Like, are you like, is it just anyone, or is there a specific type of therapy that you want to do catered towards a specific type of person?
Well, ideally, and I think it's a bit tough because the people that come to therapy are usually pretty privileged to begin with, unless you've got given like a plan from your GP and can get some like rebates and stuff. But it is a very expensive thing. So a lot of privileged people get the opportunity to go to like psychotherapy. But I do want to work towards bettering people and not just be like, yes, I want to do some work that in like depression. I like depression, but also I like
That's
depression.
a clip right there. I like depression.
Oh God.
That's funny.
No, but like I want to kind of just
Do you want variety? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I want to help people that are already in an okay place be amazing. Like,
You want to help the willing.
yeah, I want to help people that are just like, meh, but know that there's more for them. And then
Do you get those people come into therapy though?
That's what I'm saying. I think the clientele would have to be quite wealthy. You'd have to be quite wealthy to be like, oh, I'm just going to go to therapy just so I can better myself, you know?
But even then, like, I feel like people don't consider therapy until everything's burnt to the ground.
I think therapy is becoming way more of a mainstream
Yeah.
thing though. Like I think
Especially
there is
in
a
the
place
next
for
5
that.
years or so, it could shift in that direction.
Yeah, but I do also feel guilty at the same time being like, I want to become a therapist and do all this study and then just work on people that are already okay. Like it sounds a little bit...
But not everyone has issues.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like
You're more like, sorry to cut you off, but you're more like a life coach with a clinical, theoretical background. Like you understand psychology.
Yeah, I think really is where I'm like wanting to help those people that are okay is more like within relationships and like interpersonal relationships. Like Adler has that quote, like every problem is an interpersonal relationship problem. And I believe that if you can help somebody within a relationship they're struggling with, it translates to every aspect of their life. And that I don't know if I would really want to be like a couples therapist or like a relationships therapist, but relationships in a broader sense with like, you know, mum, daughter, like, or just like a friendship that they are not sure how to navigate or something like that.
So you'd want to do sessions with multiple people?
I think like that would be really interesting. Like an open dialogue kind of.
And do you want to be like the mediator, or like what would your role be?
Yeah, mediator, basically, and just getting people to talk about the things that they don't usually feel comfortable to on their own, or that they wouldn't bring up to their friend or to their mum or to their partner if they weren't in this environment.
And you could like break down things from more of an objective.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're never coming from a superior role. It's more just,
it's an outside perspective more than anything.
yeah, just digging deeper
Yeah.
when you can see the curiosity and what people are willing to share, and you go into that.
And you can give people like explanations for things they might not understand or even realize what's going on underneath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have a background in psychology and understanding of human nature.
And I think like a really important aspect of like an open dialogue or like family therapy is that because you have a psychotherapist or a psychologist within the room with you, someone like an individual might feel really comfortable to say things to the psychologist that is really helpful for another person sitting in the room to hear, that sparks things for them. And then they might not feel comfortable replying to that person, but they feel comfortable replying to the psychologist.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like a moderator, but you're steering and guiding the conversations. Yeah. So I think family therapy also would be really, really great. Relationships, people. Yeah. But really I'm open towards everything at this point. Like I've got interests in like acceptance and commitment therapy and meditation and mindfulness and, you know, so there's so many different ways to go about it and ways to approach issues and problems that at the moment I'm just trying to keep as open and as broad as possible so I'm not shutting anything off.
It's kind of like we were talking about yesterday, though. Like, you've kind of naturally gravitated towards a big core element of people's lives is the relationships they have.
Yeah.
And if you can attack that area
Yeah.
with the tools, then you can make the most difference rather than if you just focused on a specific type of therapy on an external like branch of them. You're not like necessarily at the root. Yeah. And it's also like where your skills, understanding and strengths are, where you can make the most change as well.
Yeah.
Because naturally, like before you even started psychology, you had an interest and some sort of fundamental understanding about relationships and an interest in them and how they work and the dynamics. So it's going to be a lot easier to build on top of that and leverage that into making the most good. Like you can learn about the different types of therapy, like meditation, using psilocybin, all of these things. But yeah, I think if that's a core part of what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also a large aspect of it is just relationship with self and how you view self and like exploring that too. Like if we can kind of break down beliefs and really question and investigate like the core beliefs, what is kind of left and what fluctuates. Like I think a huge aspect that brings like liberation is the realization of like everything just exists within consciousness. Like we are being like a sentient beings, and there's a lot of other sentient beings like dogs and cats and a lot of the animals and insects on this earth. But if we just sit with ourselves and have an open mind, we realize that there's no like mini me inside your head. Like there's no evidence for it. There's memory and we can tap into memories, but consciousness is the thing that holds everything in the present moment, and that we have a choice we can choose how we want to act. We can change our reality like that. Like nothing is concrete, nothing is certain, everything's forever fluctuating. And that it's a little bit scary to think of maybe at the start, but then you realize like it just means that you have the power to do whatever you want to do, that, yeah, you might have fears or past experiences, but they know they don't exist in this present moment. Nothing does.
I think it's important to make the distinction between, I think there are constants, but it's our perception of those things that don't exist, like aren't real or aren't accurate.
What do you mean?
Like we can't really view things objectively.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ever-changing thing that we need to be conscious of or aware of. Like, I mean, you can't really say for sure because you haven't really, like don't have the capacity to see, but a tree, for example, like a tree in this reality, and as far as we can tell, is fairly constant. Like if there's a tree in the middle of a field, you can go past every day. It might be a little bit different throughout the seasons, it changes, but it's still a tree. Like you can still identify that's a tree.
But it's only identifiable as a tree because it's a concept we've made. The concept remains constant.
I'm not talking about the concept of it. I'm talking about the tree itself.
But it doesn't say the same. It's continually changing. It's still identifiable as a tree, but it has different leaves, different branches, different growth, different formation.
So there's a constant to what makes a tree a tree.
But that's only our concept of it.
Yes, but we're conceptualizing something. Like we're not just conceptualizing something that doesn't exist entirely.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would not be able to conceptualize it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not that everything is always forever changing and nothing is certain. I think it's our perception of that thing and our conceptualization of that thing is what makes it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because consciousness is what you're talking about. Is infinite and infinite possibilities, and anything can come from that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the observer effect. It's only our perception of it that brings it into existence. It's kind of like if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? Like, if you're not there to observe it and to create a story in your mind, does it really actually exist? And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I'm mainly just bringing it up because...
Is that right? That was more of a question than a statement. I kind of phrased it incorrectly.
Well, I'll tell you why I brought that up to begin with. I was just saying that, like, I think it's helpful to question the self and to question what is remaining and what is constant and what is fluctuating within you.
Yeah.
And it's more about that and about realizing that the mind within you is so flexible and placid. Like it can change, it can create new formations. It can
go in any direction.
It can go in any direction, and that the beliefs that we hold about ourselves are only beliefs, or only concepts, and that all of them can be challenged and broken and reformed whenever we choose. And I think a lot of that has so much power.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not based in reality. They're based on our perception of reality.
It's based on the evidence we've collected towards a bias of a concept. Like,
do you want to give an example?
Yeah.
You were going to.
Yeah. Like,
jump the gun.
A big one that I've always struggled with is, like, I'm not disciplined. And then, like, everything, all the memories that I can kind of wave a wand over my mind and like that start to pull up are all just evidence suggesting that I'm not disciplined, and I can go to that belief. And if I really hold on to that, and keep bringing that concept and that statement up, that's what I'm going to believe. So I'm not disciplined. I think, oh, I had 3 chocolates yesterday and I told myself I was going to have 1. Like, if I'm pointing out every aspect of myself that's not disciplined, that's what I'm going to find.
Yeah. But
if I'm like, oh, I am, and then that has only changed and broken when I've challenged, when I've accepted and questioned that belief and saying, can I be disciplined? And it's something that's hard when we can't find readily available evidence for that, or we kind of try and dismiss it because it's not a belief that's easy to grasp onto.
It's not as familiar because you haven't practiced it.
Yeah. But it's something that can change. It's like, oh, okay, well, I've told myself I'm going to make reels every day and that's what's happened. Or, you then start to find evidence for that and you can confirm that belief. Yeah. Do you have another example that might be?
Well, the first and easiest way to kind of validate that in my mind is just the basic fact that I've been wrong in the past.
Yeah.
And I have a very high capacity of being wrong in general. So to be able to step back from the idea that I know what I know is faulty, because think I've known things before and been completely wrong. And if you just hold things a little bit more loosely, you can more easily find the truth when it's presented to you. Because a lot of the time, like in life, at least in my experience, you're first like gently nudged towards like the actual truth of the case. And then if you don't listen and you're not being open to the idea and you're holding on to what you believe tightly, it nudges you a bit harder, and then it nudges you a bit harder, and then if you're still not willing to listen, it slaps you in the face. And then you're like, oh. And a lot of people ride it into the dirt, and I think that's what can harm people's self-confidence, or they can become bitter at the world, like they just feel unlucky, or whatever the case is. But yeah, like just understanding that I've been wrong before and I'm probably wrong again.
Yeah.
And just looking for where I actually am wrong. Because it doesn't help me in any way to prove myself right at all.
Yeah.
When you try and prove yourself right, it's really the first sign that something's wrong. Like if you have to prove it, there's some challenge to it. And the more you're being challenged means there's probably some conflict there. And if there's conflict, then you're probably not right.
Or missing something.
Yeah.
Missing part of it.
Yeah.
We were talking about an interesting concept in the car on the way here. When I brought up the question, like, because we were talking about how our beliefs can always change and that they do change, and that I was kind of wondering, like, to what level and to how deep can my thoughts about the things that I think the most concrete concepts are in my head can change. And you kind of brought up an interesting point about, like, well, we kind of usually have like a core, like a really, really core, deep foundation belief that kind of like rides us into our purpose or into our mission, or that's kind of linked with what we do in this reality, in this life. And for you, do you want to share what that was?
Your core beliefs are usually demonstrated in the way that you live your life. And those meanings are often subconscious, but the core values are like, if you take something that you do, for instance, and you trace that back, okay, I procrastinate for example. Well, why do I procrastinate? Usually it's in avoidance of failing or fear of failing or messing up. Well, why do I have a fear of failing and messing up? Well, maybe it's because I'm proving to myself that I'm not worthy. Okay, well, why do I think that? Well, maybe it comes from this thing in my childhood. And then if you go all the way back, eventually you'll see like, okay, well, maybe I believe my actions are equal my worth. Well, why is that? Why do you think your actions are equal to your work? And you keep digging down, and eventually you can't ask any more questions, and that's kind of the core. So why do I feel like my actions are equivalent to my worth? Well, because if I don't do anything, and then I'm just taking, and if I have to take and I don't give, that means I have to take it from somewhere else, which means other people have to provide it to me. There's a certain amount of energy in the world, and if you don't contribute, well, if you think broadly, if everyone had the perspective that I'm just going to take and not contribute anything, then society would collapse because there's more consumption than creation. Mm. And usually, like, it's based on some form of reality, but that belief in particular, like my worth is based on my actions, is kind of construing that core belief in a negative way. Does that make sense? Mm. Like, I am inherently providing value in things I do, but I'm just focusing on the things that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
To depreciate my worth in myself. And that could come from someone else telling me that what I do is my worth or whatever, you know. It could be any type of example.
Yeah. But I also think that there's so many examples of what you do is your worth. Yeah. That you can look for. Like, you can really find that.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an easy thing to bring evidence to.
Yeah.
Like, just in workplaces.
Yeah.
Like, giving your time, then you're given, like, if you give your time, then you're given money. Like, physical labor, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, so then what would be evidence for your worth is not your actions?
That depends on your core belief. If your worth is not your actions, then you would believe energy to be infinite. Because that would mean you can, or just your existence provides value to the universe. Which
I feel like...
And that kind of links into the consciousness that I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, we're all a fragment of consciousness.
Yeah. And I do have a belief that we're all, like, because we all are very, like, miracles, really. Like, to be born into existence, to be put in this earth, to be given this time is, like, a miracle, really. Like, when you come down to, like, probability and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of, like, our experiences is to provide insight and information to consciousness or to evolution, to existence of, like, if this happens, this will happen. Like, to create stories and paths that feed into, like, consciousness, and that in itself helps because it's providing information of, like, trial and error codes, basically. Like, I'll put this sequence in and see what comes out the other end of it.
Yeah.
Like
a simulation. A
simulation of, like, life, of, like, okay, this person grew up here, they had this experience, and then
let's see
this
what
is
comes
their
from
outcome.
It. Yeah.
And, like, there's that there's billions of people doing that, and that's feeding into existence or consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then within that, I feel like because I'm there's such a small probability of me being alive and getting this existence and having this consciousness and feeling like I can do being at a place where I can feel like I can design my life. I feel like that is such a privilege, and that I need to then give everything I can to help reality, to help consciousness, to bring up everything in the world and everything that we can comprehend and support and everything that's good. And that I feel like then I should dedicate my existence to, just bringing up everything and providing insight, providing value, trying to help other people, and also trying to have that front of mind in my life, being okay, this day is gifted to me, it's not guaranteed. What do I actually want to do with it? Or this life is, gifted, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
What should I bring? What should I give? What value should I provide? And yes, just my path is value, but I am at a stage where I feel like I have free will in determining the path that I go down, which is very liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think going back to that simulation idea is interesting. Every person is a simulated line of thought almost. If you think about something happening and you go down the rabbit hole, you can kind of draw a parallel to someone's life.
Yeah.
And I think people who feel like they're failing at life, or their life is not going very well, that their life is not worth living. But I would almost say that it's just as important, if not more important, because if you think about the human race as a whole, every life is valuable because every person can contribute a point of data to the collective idea. I live my life like this. This is what worked.
Yeah.
This is what didn't work.
Yeah.
And what didn't work is more valuable to the collective because they know they can then infer what actually does work and how they can live their life. So you can benefit everyone else around you by living through the things that suck and hurt the most, or the pain, or the things that maybe you feel like aren't worth living through or whatever. And if you can go through that to share that with the world, that's almost the most value you can bring.
Because you show that if you're in moments of struggle and despair, that there has been a way out, and that provides light to others and inspiration.
Yeah.
And opportunity to be oh wow, okay, it doesn't have to be all bad, we can get out of it.
I think it's a lot easier to figure out what works by understanding what doesn't. So if you go through a period of time where things are not working, you can kind of analyze what's going on, and then, okay, well, I'm doing this, this, and this, and this. Well, what if I do the opposite of that? And if your life turns around, then you've kind of just found a key or a little gem. And if you share those gems with people, they can implement that into their lives and they can live better. So from your struggle, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because fear or despair can also grow and can also become bigger. If you're feeding into it and you don't see hope for a while, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger until something happens that changes that course. but it can be quite like a negative and kind of like a black hole in some instances because it can suck things into them.
Yeah. I think that happens because we haven't been taught that what we just said. Like, the despair is actually the greatest gift that we could have. Because without it, we could never improve or make anyone's life better. Like, if you just think about that, like, we're taught to think that bad is bad. We should avoid it. We should, but I think a culture that embraces those things and comes together to work through those things.
So having kind of the courage to face it and to be like, okay, this is what it is, but then finding solutions.
Yeah, to come together.
Through courage.
Yeah.
And through minds being like, okay, like it's kind of like when you sit with an emotion that feels really negative. Like if I sit with an emotion that feels really negative, eventually it goes. But you have to first like face it and accept it to then get the courage to go, okay, it can kind of leave now.
Like, for example, someone's hardship, like your health problems. Like there are two ways we could approach that. We could approach that like, wow, she's in a lot of pain. This really sucks. I want to do anything I can to get her out of that pain, which is a good thing to want for someone because you don't really want to wish pain on someone.
Yeah.
But if you come together to focus on what it is that's going wrong and how you can fix that, you solve the pain, but also you get a lesson as to how to prevent it in the future and to help other people who are dealing with the same thing. So you get kind of two things. You're more conscious and intention. You have more intention when you approach it. Whereas if you just try and help them and do anything, you might stumble across something, but you're less likely to help them in the beginning.
Yeah.
And like if you fluke it, you can't really repeat that.
Yeah.
And if they fall back into it, then they feel even more broken and more helpless than before. But if like the community, like, which is what should and I think will happen, if the community surrounds the person and supports them in finding what's wrong and trying to help them through what's wrong, that person gets better.
Yeah.
And they can also share that with their entire community.
Yeah.
So it makes the community better.
Yeah.
And I think that's what growth is.
Yeah.
But we've lost that.
From hardship.
Intention, I think.
I think really what it is like a masking kind of culture of like band-aids and like not seeing the whole picture when we are in like such negative or low spaces because it's really hard to see into view. But if we fully accept the fate that something's at and we can get all the information that's there and not mask out uncomfortabilities, we can reach a greater solution, or that person can reach a greater solution because all the information's on deck. But when we're going, okay, get out of it, but we don't realise that the barbed wire is still stuck in the leg and we rip it, like, then it's going to be worse. If we just sit with it, give it more time until everything, like, yes, it's painful and it's more painful to go slightly deeper below that surface, but then in the long run, we can heal faster. It's a net positive. Yeah. We can heal fully, not just with still wounds.
Yeah. And you can move faster.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer held back by the things that you didn't fully resolve. Like you're dragging all this baggage that you don't need to.
Yeah.
And imagine if everyone did that. Like imagine where humanity and society would be if that was the culture that we had.
Yeah. I listened to a really great chat with Ronald Siegel and Fleet Moore yesterday. It was on a meditation summit, and I think it was Ronald. So he's a psychologist and has done a lot of research for Harvard, and he is like a very well practiced meditator, and then also comes with the perspective of like being a psychologist and a psychotherapist. And he was saying that through the practice of meditation, where it's basically just all psychotherapy, where you're sitting in uncomfortability, it allows deep traumas and things that really hurt to arise. But if you are sitting with it from the perspective of viewing it almost as like a somatic sensation. So
What's somatic?
Like a feeling, a sensation. So viewing an emotion or an experience as like the sensations in your body, like where it's arising, and it helps you to kind of detach from the emotion of the event, from the trauma. And then once you sit with that and feel it all arise and go, whoa, okay, like you're feeling it, and you might be crying and you might be feeling all these sensations, but fully in just sitting there and embracing it and remaining curiosity, but also a way that he does it is he's kind of like places an arm over where the main emotion or where the main sensations are arising, and just kind of voices in his head like, that's okay. And like puts his arm over the place, like it might be lower stomach, and be like, and that's okay. And just like fully sitting with those experiences. And he was kind of saying that he doesn't even, like, these traumas and these experiences and these emotions start to arise when you're ready for them. And the way that you can get through them and start to move past them and understand them is through just sitting with the sensations of them. And that it's like one method to do it.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be sitting either.
No.
And I think you could be doing a wide range of things. And it's more, I think when you're saying sitting is just like being present.
Being with it.
Yeah.
Being with the emotion, being with the thoughts, feelings, anything.
And exploring it.
Yeah.
And you can do that while you're exercising, being in your body.
Yeah.
You can do that while you're being creative in your soul.
Yeah.
Like you can do that in so many different ways. And often it's easier because you're not just literally sitting in it.
Yeah.
Like you can better work through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that way you're also doing something that's productive at the same time. Like I feel like it's easier for me to, like you're kind of doing two things at once. Like if you're exercising, you're doing good for your body and for your mind. And you can also go through some things that you're holding.
Yeah.
And sort of work through them and burn it off.
Yeah. I think exercise is like a very helpful way, and like running is a huge way because it is like such a meditation, and you have thoughts and feelings that arise and fall, and that it's a great way to get through it because you are physically moving through it.
Yeah.
And you can feel the emotions come, rise and leave while you're still like on a moving momentum.
And you get the benefit of all the positive neurochemicals as well.
Yeah. But I just think where it ties into feeling pain and like feeling suffering and despair and moving through that is just like when we have emotions and when we have something uncomfortable, sitting with it, not always just that literal, but like
being present
with it is the only way to fully see all of it.
Yeah.
And to move past it and through it and to learn from it. Because if we can go, oh, not that again, okay, squash that. Okay, let's do something fun. Let's like distract ourselves. Like, then it never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
It just
and then you constantly
keeps
have to keep distracting yourself.
Yeah.
More and more because it gets bigger and bigger. I don't know where I heard it, but it's like the longer you spend in your comfort zone, the smaller it gets. Because if you go towards the edge and you sort of shy away from breaking out of it, it kind of creeps in because the resistance is what you're fearing.
Yeah.
And the resistance is proportional to how close to the boundary you are. And if you're not getting close to the boundary, you're not used to the resistance, so it gets closer and closer. And eventually, you can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about during the run the other day.
Yeah,
It's
I was thinking that.
I feel like that's my whole life's mission is just like confronting discomfort or chasing it.
Yeah.
And trying to show people like this is the way.
Yeah.
You know.
By like spear tackling the fear, or by like, you know, encroaching on it and pushing towards it and opening up the envelope of that. That's how we become liberated and freer and grow and expanded. Like it's so strange, but it's so true. Like seems like a paradox.
Yeah. You put yourself back in the driver's seat. Yeah.
Because what happened was, so I'm wanting to run a half marathon this year, and I find running really hard.
Like every sane person.
Yeah. I find, but I've always told myself, it's one of those things where I've told myself, it's like, you're not a runner. Like, what are you doing? And I want to do a race where I have to train and commit myself to running because I want to break that barrier. And I have broken that belief before during 75 Hard when we were running heaps, running for months, and could run continuously 7Ks, which was a huge, huge thing for me, like massive. And I'm kind of missing that again. And the confidence that it gave me throughout my, like it spread into every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Just doing something that I thought that was so core is like, it had two things. It was like being dedicated to something that you find really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
So I want to do that again. And yeah, so I'm going to run a half marathon, and I've started the training. But Brendan, so what happened, basically?
Let's go to the beginning. Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. Brendan, did you text me? You're like...
No, I called you. I finished work and I rang you up.
Yeah. You rang me up and you're like, hey, let's go for a run. And I was like, yeah, cool, awesome. When you get back, we'll go for a run. And he gets home and... he's like, okay, let's go. And he goes out the door, and I'm like, oh wait, like we're gonna need the keys because I want to run by the beach. And I could just feel like some sort of like annoyance or resistance from him.
Yeah.
With that comment, and with having to like drive somewhere to do it, and that it couldn't just be like an on the spot thing. But we ended up like on that run, and we were basically just talking about what that situation was. And for me, in my head, I told myself that day, like, okay, like when Brendan gets home, we're going for a run. When Brendan gets home, so when he called me, I was like, okay, let's do it. But for me, I find running by the beach or running like in nature so much easier, so much like freer and calmer, and just like in a better headspace, and it makes that run easier if I'm in nature or by the beach. So when he was like, okay, let's go, and then we were just going to start running from the house, it meant that I was going to have to run around like houses and around the suburb basically. And I was like,
at least through the suburb.
Yeah. And that really, really scared me because it's not an expectation that I had. My expectation was, okay, the resistance point of this is just going to be the run.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be in nature. It's going to be great. We're going to be by the beach. We can zone into that. If it's getting really hard, we'll just, focus on the surroundings. But then when the expectation of Brendan was, okay, we're just going to go and we're going to be here, and we're going to do it wherever, it doesn't matter. And he had a very different expectation than me. And that was really the conflict point.
Well, I just felt like I was under time pressure.
Yeah.
And for you to say, oh, I need to run by the beach, which means we would have to drive 15 minutes return.
5, it wasn't.
Return,
yeah.
Which meant I would be wasting 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Just because you couldn't run past houses, essentially. And so I would have to stay up later and it could impact my whole, like, anyway, that's, And the second, like the B side of that was like, why are you running? You're running because it's hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you want it to be hard, you're going to get the most out of it if you add an extra layer to that.
Yeah.
But also when you're first starting something, you just need to start whatever you need to do to get you out the door is what you need to do. And we got there and we were doing the run and it was just like, this is how I feel, this is how I feel. And when I was trying to explain that, you said like, I feel like you're just taking shots at me. Like you say, I'm not, you feel like you weren't doing enough.
Yeah, like I felt like it was already a big step just to go for the run. And I was like, can't he just be like happy for me that that's happening?
Yeah.
And he was, but at the same time thinking like, oh, if the whole thing is about trying to do something hard, then why do we have to kind of go through these steps and these motions where we just come at things differently as well though. Like I was explaining how like I would have that progress and by the next couple runs I'd be fine to do that. But I just needed like a little bit of like a victory or something in my mind, a little push to like get me to do it and some like positive. Yeah. Yeah. Which I feel like you're not like that. You go into things being like, it's going to be hard and that's great. Like, I don't know. Do you have that?
I think I'm a little bit further along because I understand that the harder it is, the more I'm going to get out of it. And it's not about making it hard for the sake of making it hard. It's making it hard so I can encounter resistance.
Yeah. But I understand that. I understand that if, like, I get that. I get that if I was to do that, it would have been more rewarding.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just do it?
Yeah. Because I'm not at that stage yet.
Because you're afraid.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. That's okay to do, like, at the start of something.
I mean, I guess. I just look, like, I have this...
We're just different people.
My perspective is, like, for so long, I was controlled by my fears of things. And I can look around and see people dealing with the same fear, and I just know if I can get them to confront it, they would have such a different trajectory for their life. And it's such a simple step, and it feels like it's so far, but really it's just another step.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like much, but man, every extra % can pay off exponentially.
Yeah.
And I get that it feels like I'm pushing like really hard, but I know how much you can get from it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck. Like.
Yeah. And it's not something that I'm saying I will never do. Like, I'm happy to even do it the next time we run. Like, it was mainly just the beginning, just to get me to do it and be like, okay, I'm on this journey, because committing to it as well, being like, okay, am I running? Am I not? Like, committing to training and stuff was a big thing. And now I feel like I'm committed. I feel like it's not at the whim of where I run. It's like, you're going to have to run no matter what.
Yeah. I'm not really talking about the running though.
Yeah.
It's just more like the approach in general.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think it is
if your approach, the less dependent on emotion your approach is, the more free you are. And freedom for me is so important. And I get that it's not as important for other people. And it's just hard for me to grapple with that, because if I can't do something because of someone else or for myself, like, I just feel trapped. And if I feel trapped, like, no one else can come and save me. And if I'm trapped, if I've trapped myself, then I'm just doomed.
So it's a big kind of core belief for you, is to, like, whenever you're feeling a resistance of, okay, that's too hard, you go towards it.
The core belief would be, I'm the only one who can impact my life for better or for worse. And so if I want it to be good, I have the responsibility to take the control. And it's no one else's fault but my own. And since I know that for myself, and it's true for other people, like, every fear they dodge is like them disrespecting themselves because they don't think they can overcome the fear. And it's like, that fear for me is the most painful thing. So to see someone else do that to themselves, I don't know, I just see myself in that and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, you don't know what you can do. You're just scared. Like, I don't think people realize what impact they can actually have. And the people that they can help and that they can change if they just... Like, I see so much pain in the people around me, and, like, if I could just show them they can do it, you know? Oh, fuck.
It's good. It's good to have emotion. Means you're passionate. And you care.
That doubt isn't even them. It's just what other people have told them. And they were only told that because the person themselves were told that by someone else. Like, that fear is not real. It was just given to you by someone who was hurting. And it just ruins people's whole life. Like, think of the people that could still be here. If we just knew that. Like, the people we could have saved. I don't know how to deal with it, like, and confront it in people sometimes, because I just want to fucking shake them. Like, bro, the urgency is so real that I can't, like, step back and digest it to them in a way that's actually going to help them understand like, how important it is. Like I bury myself
Yeah.
to try to show people, And they look at me and they're like, bro, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
So you can.
I'm grateful for that. You have been. You showed me that I'm capable of the things that I never thought I could be. I feel like I'm in control of my life now, and everything I do is my decision. I feel like you were a huge part of that. And continue to be. My biggest supporter. The person who believes in me so much that made me believe in myself.
I knew where I was. Like, I felt so worthless. Like, I couldn't do anything. And now, like, if I can do it, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyone can,
Yeah.
Like, you just gotta do the things.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing else.
Yeah.
And people are, like, trying to find the secret because they
It's
don't
too
feel
hard.
like they can do the work. They don't understand,
Yeah.
I guess.
But I also think it's like, if you don't think that you can do it, the options and the truth isn't available to you because it's so clouded with like you can't even think of, oh, how could I get there, because
There's not enough examples.
it doesn't come to you because you don't have the belief to begin with.
Yeah.
So you can't see the path.
And you get the path from other people. Like, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck. I feel so lucky that I found, like, podcasts
Yeah.
and the people that showed me that I can do it.
Yeah. Because you listened to like Ed Milet and Andy Frisella since you were like in year 10, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what changed it
It
for
was
you.
like, and it took like 5 years for me to get
actually
it.
listen. Yeah.
And
Also-
like, for so long, they could have just said, fuck it, like, this is too hard, no one's listening.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like that too, because you're fighting against, like, well, I feel like I'm fighting against culture, but also, like, it's just the human nature to avoid fear,
Yeah.
which is, like, it blows my mind that that's the way, like, I feel like God or the universe is designed so that the thing that you fear the greatest is the thing that's going to have the most reward. And we've just gotten lost to that idea.
But also, I feel like opposite to that, like, I think we're so lucky to have like free access to information that's like shifted mindsets. Like, when else would we have had access to that?
Yeah.
You know, I think we're in such a lucky generation that, like, yeah, the wellness industry is $1 billion multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry, but also like there's so much good within it, and there's so much, like, the intention behind it is good,
Yeah.
and like bettering ourselves and the access to knowledge is there. Like, never before have we been able to find anything so easily,
Yeah.
and so many different paths towards it too, that we should also recognize that there is a lot of good going.
Yeah. I'm just worried that, like, people are listening to the wrong people. Like, there are so many people out there who are saying the right things for clicks and shares and attention when they don't have the faintest idea of what the fuck they're talking about. And they have millions of people listening to what they say. And they might listen and they might get a little bit of momentary success, but because they're missing the point of going into your fear and, like, making your life better from the core, eventually when things fall apart again, they feel like it's them.
Yeah.
Because this person at the top who's showing them a completely fake life that isn't even real. Like, it's their highlight reel. They live the best life. They've got all this money, all this love. Like, their life's amazing. And it's not real. Like, we're talking about, like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Like, it's hard. Like, they're your fears. It's real shit, you know?
Yeah.
And you look at these people who are saying all this feel-good shit, and they're like...
Yeah, because it's easy digestible stuff.
And it's what people want to hear. Like, they don't want to hear, like, how...
You have to go towards your fear.
Yeah, how
and that
hard
it's going to be
is.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
And they're just lying for money and for attention. And bigger than that, they're ruining people's lives because kids listen to them and they're like, fuck, man, like, it worked for them. Why isn't it working for me? I must be broken.
I think the expectation is, like, the biggest thing. Like, if you expect good out of, like, X, Y, and Z, and you feel robbed if you don't get it. Like, it is just best to understand, like, well, for me and for you, what has been, like, the greatest helps within our lives is, like, searching within and being open to uncomfortable feelings and experiences that were shitty, but, like, looking at them with curiosity and wondering, like, I wonder why that happened, and taking the time to investigate ourselves to then apply those teachings to our lives, and also to, like, act from an accordance of, like, creating, not consuming, like, trying to, obviously we all consume, and that's natural, but just to try and create or to have our own original thoughts, and that's what's valuable.
Yeah.
Too. It's not valuable to just parrot whatever else anyone else is saying. Like, it's actually, and it's scary because it's like, oh, you've got to trust yourself, but that trust is, like, the seed.
That's the fear, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
I'm grateful that you are so real.
Man, I've just been so lucky, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, where I came from and what I happened to stumble across to take me here. Like, fuck, I don't know where I would be if I had not
Gone towards the fear.
I guess. But, like, even learning that that's something that you should do.
Yeah.
Like, finding the people who would tell you what's real.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, like, most of these people have good intentions. Like, they want to help people, but...
Totally.
Yeah, it's just... You need to be really careful to who you listen to.
Yeah, but also, we need to be careful to also...
Say the truth.
Tap into what our body is telling us, not our...
Your ego?
It's kind of like just having the perception of what other people could think, or what the common standard, or what the idyllic thing is, or the most socially acceptable thing is. And for me, like, trying to, like, come back to what I really believe daily, and, like, questioning those things and making sure I have a solid foundation within myself before listening to others, and questioning what I hear, like, and understanding that, okay, like, that could be real, that could not be real. Let's, like, try and think about that. Just having some, like, critical thought for any information that we're consuming or hearing through anyone. Like,
yeah,
it's so broad and it's hard to say, and obviously we can't be perfect all the time, and I fuck up.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm the furthest from perfect.
I'm not the perfect person to be listening to whatsoever. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm trying to say what I believe.
Speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying my best.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, like, it's the mistakes and the shit that goes wrong is the most valuable stuff. Like, your pain is not the thing that disqualifies. Like, Ed Milet says that all the time. It's not your pain and your struggle that disqualifies you from helping
And your
people.
struggle?
Yeah.
It's not your pain and your struggle.
It's the pain and the struggle that qualifies you to help someone else. Like, if you're an alcoholic,
Yeah.
that doesn't disqualify you from helping people
Yeah.
get away from alcohol. It's
Yeah.
it's the very thing that qualifies you the most.
Totally.
You know?
Been through it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it comes from, but we've just like vilified struggle, and we've just glorified this being perfect. Like, cancel culture is like, if you do one wrong thing in your entire life, we're going to ruin it. Like, you're off the map. And it's so counterproductive to culture.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I've done so many things that I regret.
Yeah.
Or that I wish I didn't do.
And we will in the future as well.
Exactly.
But that's part of being human. That's part of learning.
That's the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
Like,
and not being afraid to live or to fuck up as well. Because it's necessary. It's necessary because that's where we learn. And that's how we grow.
Yeah. What a fucking episode. I did not expect
Big
that.
episode, lots of emotion, but lots of heart expression shared, which is great. Lots of real talk.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for you expressing your beliefs.
Hopefully it was valuable to someone.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Do something hard.
Do something hard. You might just love it.
Probably
Bye.
not. Bye.